Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Friday. It's March 15th. It is 2024. We have a 6-game NBA slate to talk about here on today's podcast. 5 games on FanDuel. They left off the Atlanta-Utah game. DraftKings rolling out the no late swap again. Team no late swap, happy about this nice little 6-gamer that we have over there. We've been chatting for like 10 minutes, and as we're waiting for everything to kind of load up here, and Keenan Allen just got traded to the Bears, and we're like, I wonder what it's for. And it just came across my feed that he got traded to the Bears for a 4th-round pick. Thought that was super interesting. Joined today, as always on Fridays, by my good buddy Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, what's happening, my friend?
Nothing much, man. Excited about this no late swap, Stevie. I think this is what has pulled me back into NBA DFS in a more heavy way. I've been playing some DFS, but I've really ratcheted up my play here. But no late swap, always intriguing. You will have to stretch it out a little bit. Last week, I think when they did no late swap, Stevie, all the games ended at 8:00, or when they started at 8, that was it. We're going into the 9:30 game this week. No problem. No big deal. It's Atlanta, Utah. I think that was a good game to include if we're going to go no late swap, but definitely glad to come on with you. And this isn't a sales pitch. I did my sales pitch earlier this week, but I will say, man, I'm really excited about NASCAR this week. Got trucks on Saturday, trucks on Saturday, Cup on Sunday, and I am going to be in the NASCAR Streets. The trucks race is at 8:00 this week on a Saturday, so it's going to be a nice little I'm either going to be feeling really good going to bed, or I'm going to hate myself. I don't know which one it's going to be yet, but one of the two will be occurring.
Yeah, Bristol, one of the most unpredictable tracks that's not Daytona and Talladega. So you never know what you're going to get out of Bristol. I've had massive, massive days at Bristol, and I've had days that I have returned hardly anything. So overall, profitable racetrack for me, so I'm excited for Bristol this weekend. It's one of my favorite races to go to in person. Like if you'd never been to a race before and you wanted to go to a race, that's the racetrack I'd tell you to go if I wasn't going to tell you to go to Daytona. So love Bristol. I'm kind of just shocked. I mean, this trade, I know it's not an NFL season. We're going to talk about basketball in a second, but Keenan Allen, like I know they were approaching him about a pay cut, but I mean, the dude says no and you trade him for a 4th-round pick. Now we got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Like, that's a stout wide receiver core for
and
Chicago.
They still got both of their 1st-round picks already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they're doing something. What I will say is this, though. The Chargers aren't bashful. Like, they've already let go of Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's gone. Looks like Harbaugh's coming in and saying, look, it's my team now. I'm doing what I want to do. Or him and the general manager have some type of understanding. So it's going to be an interesting season coming up. I think everybody does expect the Chargers to be better, a more physical football team. We're going to see. We are going to see.
And just got to alert that Wyatt Langford hit his 5th spring training home run. Gosh, so excited about him. So excited about baseball coming up here in a couple weeks.
Ooh, buddy. Yes.
Was talking to Devin about it, and we are going to be doing a lot of baseball once baseball starts. As far as basketball content, just be ready for a lot of baseball talk on the podcast. And we all know how much I love baseball. So, all right, we got a 6-game NBA slate for Friday, and it's a really interesting slate. We don't have a total over 225, and we don't have a total under 216. So pretty interesting slate in that aspect. We get started here with Phoenix at Charlotte, 218 total. Phoenix, a 9.5-point favorite in this game. Phoenix is on a back-to-back. We'll see if anybody rests. This seems like a good rest spot if they need to rest anybody here. Eric Gordon didn't play Thursday, so we'll see if he's back for this one or not. And on the Charlotte side, Ball, Curry, Martin, McGowan, Williams still out. Let's go Phoenix here first. I would put Bradley Beal on the list of like potential sitting here. in this game. I wouldn't be shocked if he sits. It is a really good rest spot against Charlotte. I think Phoenix handles Charlotte without one or two of their studs. What are your thoughts on the Suns here?
Yeah, man, I definitely think Phoenix takes care of business here. I know they're on a back-to-back. It doesn't matter. They're just a much better team overall. Have more experienced talent. Charlotte, we're just a bad basketball team. So Booker at 9K. I'm still not crazy enthused about playing Booker. If I was going to play anyone, maybe Bradley Beal, Stevie. But I'm just not crazy enthused about playing Phoenix players at these prices when they're all playing. Now, once again, we've seen Kevin Durant have two monster games here, Stevie, prior to tonight against Cleveland, against Boston. I mean, just monster games. But generally speaking, I'm going to be fine leaving these guys on the shelf. So I'm not thrilled about Phoenix. Once again, if Eric Gordon sits, then maybe I have a little bit of interest in Beal, Booker, or Durant. And maybe I put them in a group. I think that's how I handle it. I put them in a group because I am going to play mass multi-entry. I'll probably put these three guys in a group and just 0 to 1 them. And that way, if they hit some upside, I've got some exposure.
Yeah, I want to see what the injury report looks like. I mean, if everybody plays here for Phoenix, I feel like that is where I mean, maybe Bradley Beal, like if he's going to play, he's going to score. I don't mind his upside. I like Nurkic. He's just 7,200. It's a tough price tag for Nurkic. So I don't like him as much when you're looking at like the salary cap part of it. Charlotte side here, Micic balling out. I mean, he scored 25 actual points the other night. It was good to see him have a big game, and that was with Trey Mann, back. Trey Mann ended up playing in that game, played over 30 minutes. Micic still did really well. Mann handling the ball, Micic scoring, Miller scoring. I think I'm out on Miller and Bridges just price-wise, but I do think like Micic, Mann, Richards are interesting plays here for large field tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wish Mann would sit, but we know he's not going to sit in this one. We've kind of talked about Brandon Miller. He does have some upside, Stevie. We're not going to see it every night. He's a rookie. And I think we have to understand that going in and maybe just take shots. Like we saw it against Detroit, saw it a little bit against Brooklyn, didn't see it against Washington, which we probably.
Oh, did we lose Will? Oh, well, lost Will a little bit. He started talking about Brandon Miller's upside, and his internet just couldn't handle him talking about Brandon Miller's upside. So Brandon Miller, when he does have those games where he shoots 20 plus times, does have some upside, and I think that's what Will is going to say. This is going to be a close, competitive game. It's just not my favorite game or spot to attack here, Charlotte in general. So I don't have a ton of interest in Miller or Bridges, but I think Micic and Mann are interesting. Nick Richards is okay, depending on the value that opens up or doesn't open up on this slate. I don't know if I necessarily want to play Grant Williams, but he's kind of cheap too. So I think that's who you would potentially be taking shots on here, is just looking at some of these Charlotte players. Again, this is one of those games that it's interesting or slates where it's interesting is like there's not a lot that I love here night before, and I think a lot could potentially be changed throughout the day and how we're going to approach this slate. Before we move on to Miami at Detroit, I'll let you finish your thoughts on Charlotte here.
Yeah, that's on me, man. I forgot to switch to my. I've been using my hotspot.
No, I told all the listeners that your internet just couldn't handle you talking about Brandon Miller's upside.
Yeah, I think he's got enough upside to get there. I don't hate Miles Bridges either. I also don't hate Nick Richards at this price, but I think Brandon Miller in this spot is the guy with the upside for sure at 7,100.
All right, let's Let's move on to Miami at Detroit, 216 total. Miami, a 6.5 point favorite in this game. Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, Josh Richardson out. Cunningham questionable. Thompson and Grimes out for Detroit. We'll go Miami here first. If this game stays close, Bam could have a big one here. His rebounding has been up a little bit recently. Rozier is always somebody that has that like ceiling. Butler has some upside here with no Hero. Miami's just a tough team to like figure out where the ceiling is going to be.
Yeah, man. I think for me, Steve, in this game, I'm going to do the same thing I'm doing with Phoenix, but I'm going to feel much better about it. I'm using Bam. I'm using Butler. I'm using Rozier. I'm putting those three in a group. I'm saying 0-1. I think one of these guys gets off today, Steve. This is a really good spot against Detroit. If it's close, I think we see the upside that we're looking for. If it's not close, they might still get there, Steve. That means they've been in full domination of this game through three quarters, and so let's hope they poured on the scoring at that time. But that's how I want to approach this game. I don't hate a fringe guy like Duncan Robinson here when he's going to play third. Like, this is a spot, Steve, he could be so wide open. He could hit 6 threes in this game. And if so, like, now he's starting to see some upside if he picks up any peripheral stats. So I like him. Jaime Jaquez is another guy that's been playing, mid to upper 20s minutes. I don't hate him either. And we've seen, Cody Martin, he's been playing nice minutes. And I know their production's all over the place, but in a spot like Detroit, this is where I want to take a shot on some of these cheap guys.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit allows the 5th most points per game this season. They allow a ton of points. So the fantasy goodness is here for Miami. It's just trying to figure out who and where it's going to come from. But there's going to be some upside plays here. I think this is a really good tournament spot for Jaime Jaquez. I think he is someone that could have a big game. On the Detroit side, I mean, it all kind of depends on Cade Cunningham. He didn't check back in the other night. He ended up sitting out, I think, the last 13 or 14 minutes of that game. I know I was on his point prop and he had 19 points. I was like, oh, he's going to check back in. No big deal. Never check back in. So we'll see if he comes back and plays in this one. If he's out, with Thompson out, with Grimes out, I mean, Jaden Ivey's going to have to play as much as he can. And then I think Marcus Sasser is someone that's going to have to play a lot of minutes in this game if Cunningham ends up sitting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what we're seeing with this team, Stevie, is despite the fact that earlier this season it seemed as if they were spreading minutes all around, they're kind of playing a set group of guys now. Like James Wiseman is setting his role, it seems like, at 3,900. I don't mind Wiseman. I want to see how they were going to handle those minutes. It looks like he's going to play about 20 minutes a game, roughly. I'll play Wiseman. I'll play Stewart. I'll play Duren. Fontecchio is playing huge minutes into the 30s. Tougher spot for him. I'll consider him in this spot. And as you talked about Sasser and Jaden Ivey, if Cunningham happens to sit, those two guys are going to get all the minutes they can handle. I think there'll be consideration.
All right, my Magic heading to Toronto to take on the Raptors here. 225.5 total. Orlando, a 6.5 point favorite. Nobody on the injury report for Orlando. Barnes, RJ, Boucher, Carton, Podol out. Trent, questionable on the Toronto side. Missing a lot of players here. We'll go Orlando first. Guard situation, kind of a mess. A lot of people playing guard minutes right now for Orlando. They are continuing to play Gary Harris with the starters and eating up minutes, but not a ton of production. A lot of the production is coming from Banchero and Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., Suggs. I think I'm going to go back to the well here on Jonathan Isaac. Toronto, a team that gives up a ton of fantasy points to bigs, and Jonathan Isaac with his defensive upside. He only had 3 rebounds the other night, put up 20 fantasy points. I think that Jonathan Isaac very, very much in play here for large field tournaments. Obviously, I think Franz and Paulo, I think I'd take the savings on Franz over Paulo, but definitely a spot you could play here going up against this Toronto team that's just been struggling big time defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think Franz is your play at 7,200. Let's hope we can see some upside here from him. I don't mind Paolo. You'd be basically paying up to be a little bit contrarian here, Stevie, even though this is a good spot for him. I don't think he gets a lot of ownership today. I'm also with you on Jonathan Isaac. That's another guy we talked about the last game. He's showing upside relative to his price. Like you talked about, I mean, he only had a handful of rebounds. Couple extra rebounds. He's pushing 25 fantasy points, Stevie. That's right where we want to be in that low 3K range. Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy that I do like at 5,500. We've seen him get into the 30s, Stevie, here recently. I think if he's going to play 28 to 30 minutes, as long as the game is close, then this is a guy that we can consider as well. I'm with you on the guards, man. It's all over the place. It feels like they're all playing, so I'm out. But those handful of guys from Orlando, and a great spot against Toronto, I do like them today.
Let's go to the Toronto side. I mean, Quickly is going to have big usage in this game. It's a tough spot. Orlando's good defensively. Orlando's even better defensively when they're fully healthy like they are right now. So Quickly is just going to have to play a ton. No Barrett, no Boucher. I mean, just so many people. Barnes out. So many people missing here for Toronto. Bruce Brown started really slow against Detroit, ended up getting there the other night.
Yeah.
He's 5,900. Grady Dick 5K. He did not get there the other night. This is a tough spot for these guys. Tough spot for Kelly Olynyk, but Olynyk is someone that can score. I like Quickly even in a tough spot here against Orlando. The guy is just going to have the ball in his hands so much, and honestly, like his minute floor is one of the highest minute floors on the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Don't hate Quickly. Let me just say too, man, you know, I know he probably won't hear this, man, but I'm really sorry about RJ Barrett. His brother passed away, so that's why he's out.
Yep.
So that's man, just super sad. His younger brother too, man. So that's prayers up for his family. So yeah, but I'm with you on Quickly. And once again, Stevie, man, I feel like we're being so agreeable tonight. That's probably it for me. I don't want to play Brown at 5,900 against Orlando. All spots aren't created equal. It's going to be a much tougher spot. Orlando is going to be a much better team than Toronto as currently constructed right now. I know Orlando's on the road. They may run away with this thing. I will say that maybe I consider Jonte Porter. I don't like the minutes, but the production has been there, Stevie. If he's going to get 20-plus minutes to get at 4,500, I'm willing to take a shot one more time, even though he's probably priced a little bit too high for his actual upside if his minutes stay in the low 20s.
Moving on, we got the Clippers and the Pelicans. Back-to-back for the Clippers. Pelicans, nobody on the injury report for them. 220.5 total. New Orleans, a 6.5-point favorite. James Harden sat Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And he said already that he's uncertain to play Friday. So already kind of got that news. Kawhi has been banged up. He played Thursday. Does he play the back-to-back? Do the Clippers take a day off here and get their guys some rest in a game
they did handle the Bulls, too. Handled them.
Yeah, but I feel like this is the perfect opportunity in a game that, I have outrights on the Clippers to win the championship. I'm a huge Clippers fan this year. I don't think they beat the Pelicans in New Orleans on a back-to-back. So, is this a spot New Orleans is or LA is just like, hey, let's move on and we'll just play Bones Highland, Terrence Mann, these guys. What are your initial thoughts here on the Clippers on the back-to-back?
My initial thoughts are Kawhi left the game with back spasms and didn't come back on the previous game, not the Chicago game, but the previous game. And so, once again, I think I'm with you. This is a spot where he played the front end of a back-to-back. They could give him a chance to relax a little bit, Stevie, right? And really, I must say, Kawhi hasn't missed a lot of games this year. I'm saying, generally speaking, I think he's going to finish playing 60-plus games this season when it's all said and done. I think that's going to be really good for Kawhi. We haven't seen him sit a lot like he has in previous years, too, with all these injuries. So this might be a shot for him to have a maintenance day, if you will. So I think Paul George plays, though. And I know he's had some nicks and bruises, too.
My question is, if Kawhi and Harden sit, you don't sit Paul George too?
So Paul George has sat out, I think, more than Kawhi and Harden this whole season.
Well, yeah, he's
so
been
maybe they just play him
more.
Yeah. So once again, Steve, I don't see the thing is I should have looked this up before the show. Shame on me. I've been trying to look at sometimes where these guys are in terms of games played for their season awards, because if they're close, they might not be able to sit. They may need to play to hit some of those team or season awards for the year. Like for instance, hated for Donovan Mitchell, and I know we're not talking about Cleveland, but he's not going to be eligible for season awards because he was just legitimately injured this year. So as good as the season as he's had, he won't be there. And I didn't check Paul George, but if Paul George isn't eligible, he probably will sit.
This is 3 and 4 nights for the Clippers too.
Yeah, they may all sit if they can.
But if everybody plays, you could do your normal. Play some Harden, play some Kawhi, play some George. If one or two of them sit, you play the other one.
Yeah.
If Harden's out again, I mean, I think you go back to Bones Highland. I think that he is someone, we talked about on the podcast yesterday. Like if Kawhi were to sit, you could potentially play Highland and then Harden sat. So you could potentially play Highland. The 11 assists was up there. The 4 steals was up there. Don't expect him to get 4 steals again, but I do think that like the shooting for him was okay. Maybe you're in the like 12 to 15 point range instead of hitting an extra 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 threes. And we're looking at like 25 to 30 fantasy points at 4,300. I think that's fine. So
yeah,
just watch the news here on this game. It could potentially be a spot where we take advantage of it. And then on the New Orleans side, they're healthy. They're very healthy right now. They're playing good basketball. Outside of the last game, it's Cleveland. Zion's playing at the level that we know he's capable of playing. He's having a fantastic bounce back season after everything that's happened the last couple seasons. What are your thoughts here on the Pelicans?
Here are my thoughts, Stevie. I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't know if you even thought I was still involved. You probably can't see it that much. This is a stack of Zion rookies. Pretty much all PSA 10 or BGS 9.5. Zion, please just keep crushing. I'm going to unload these things if you show out in the playoffs. They will be listed on eBay. Check me out at Just Ice Collectibles. Sorry, not advertising for myself in any way, I promise. But yeah, Zion's been crushing, man. I like what he's been doing here down the stretch, Stevie. I mean, scoring, rebounding, like this is what we've been waiting for, right? 20 plus points every game, in a dominant fashion. I like what we're seeing here. I think we put these guys, McCollum, Zion, Ingram. I don't think we play them together. I think we put them all in a group, and that's how I play the Pelicans, man. I haven't been playing their big men. I did take a shot on Larry Nance, I think, the other night, and I think I'm still okay taking a shot as long as he's under 4K, just in case he has one of those random 30-point games and plays 20 minutes if possible. But that's about it. Ingram, McCollum, Zion, put them in a group, 0-1, squeezing a little bit of Nance. I'm feeling good.
Hollywood Brown to the Chiefs. That just came across my feed. The NBA is.
I thought they were going to draft a receiver, and they still might.
It was only a 1-year deal, but I mean, ooh,
listen,
yeah,
that's a sneaky pickup if they don't just run down the sideline like they do MVS. If they give him some real routes.
I think his role will be. I think Rashee Rice is going to be the guy, but outside of that, we'll see how it plays out. But all right, back to basketball. Denver at San Antonio, 223.5 total here. Denver a 10.5 point favorite. Nobody on the injury report for Denver. Osman and Bassey still out for San Antonio. I have something in my eye. What are your thoughts here on Denver?
Going to keep this very simple, Steven. I think that's the way we go here. Give me Nikola Jokic. Under 12K. 11.8, Stevie, is the price they're giving us. 11.8. Give me Jokic. Give me Jamal Murray. I move on.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic, when you're just looking at raw points, very high up on the list today. Coming off a terrible game against the Heat, but they won that game and he just didn't shoot. It was very interesting. Yeah, I mean, Jamal Murray or Jokic, one or the other. I love this spot for Jamal Murray price-wise.
Yeah.
I think the price is fantastic for him. San Antonio, I mean, Wemby's up there on this slate as far as just raw points. In 24 minutes against Denver earlier this season, he scored 60 fantasy points. 24 minutes, 60 fantasy points. The guy is just, he's on another level, just in general. He's just on another level. What are your thoughts on the Spurs?
Yeah, I don't hate Wemby, Stevie. I mean, they are at home. Perhaps they could stay competitive here and keep this thing rolling. I mean, I'm expecting Denver to win, but man, if they could keep it close enough for everybody to have to keep playing, Stevie, then Wemby could for sure be there. I don't hate Keldon Johnson. I don't hate Devin Vassell, and that's about it. I think those are my main guys, and I let the chips fall where they may. But no way. I don't think I'd take any slates where I don't play Wemby at 10-5, knowing he can put up 70 fantasy points.
I think it's Wemby, and that's it for me. In large field tournaments, I think you could potentially take shots on Vassell at lower ownership. Trey Jones had a big shooting night the other night. Hit 4 threes, hit a lot of shots early on threes. So I think these two guys are your raw points plays. I mean, especially like over on FanDuel, Dave in chat says on FanDuel, Jokic is 12K, Wemby's 11-2.
But Wemby's going to have 8 stocks.
But you don't have Atlanta, Utah on FanDuel. And that's like on DraftKings, you have Atlanta, Utah, and you can pivot and stuff. I think that'll be it really, Dave, I really think like on FanDuel, it's going to come down to is the Clippers sitting people or not? Toronto's going to have some value. Cade Cunningham could definitely open up some value. So, like, I think Jokic and Wemby are going to be in play on FanDuel. But then going back to DK, having this Atlanta-Utah game is huge. So let's talk about it. 224.5 total. Utah 1-point favorite. Bay, Bufkin, Okongwu, and Trey out. Johnson questionable for Atlanta. Clarkson, Dunn, Markkanen out. Hendricks questionable for Utah. Interesting game overall. Let's talk Atlanta here first. Two of the teams that give up two of the most points. I mean, I think they're third and fourth in points allowed per game this season. It's a fantastic game to target. But who are we targeting? I mean, that's my question to you.
Yeah, I want DeAndre Hunter to happen, Stevie, because, when we're getting Sadiq Bey out, like, come on, guy, I need you to produce here. Kretschke played 31 minutes, Stevie. Maybe he's for sure in play, I think, if he's going to play that many minutes. But the big gun here, DeJounte Murray, 9,500. He's the engine that's going to make this team go. You don't need to be overlooking him in the slightest. Bogdanovich, once again, Stevie, I don't like this price, but when you're saying now they're down another kind of what I consider primary body in Bay, who was kind of helping them all across the board, Bogdanovich has got to get involved. I like him, especially if Jalen Johnson is out. If Jalen Johnson is out, I think Bogdanovich is still a big-time play. DeAndre Hunter, once again, I still think we need to play him in this spot. And then Clint Capella, 6,300. He's been playing close to 30 minutes. Let's call it close to 28 minutes, Stevie. But it's been very productive in that time. And then you've got Bruno Fernando coming off the bench. He's playing 20 to 25 minutes. Could absolutely crush here against Utah. I like this game, obviously, and I do like the Atlanta Hawks. DeJounte Murray, big-time play today.
Large field tournaments, they're talking about Bruno Fernando and Chad. I don't mind large field tournaments taking shot on him. He's only going to play 20 minutes. So you're always a little concerned about the minutes for him. But I don't hate it in large field stuff. I think this is a spot on DK where you're potentially playing DeJounte if you don't get a ton of value over maybe like a Jokic and still trying to get Wemby. DeAndre Hunter should be doing better. He's not. That worries me. And it also depends on, like, does Jalen Johnson play in this game with the ankle sprain?
Oh, yeah. That's the big one.
Yeah, because if he ends up sitting in this game, Hunter's going to have to play a bunch of minutes. Bogdanovich is going to have to play a bunch of minutes if Johnson's out. So a lot of options here, depending on like who's in, who's out. And if Johnson does end up sitting in this game, I think that also opens up potentially playing a little bit more Fernando. Utah side, I mean, Keontae George might be my favorite play on the slate, Will. Like, he's playing a bunch of minutes. Now no Clarkson, no Markkanen. Yeah, obviously, like, Sexton's still here, but, like, he's not really competing with much outside of Sexton as far as usage with this team. The dude is playing a lot. I absolutely love Keontae George today.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Bryce Sensabaugh should have even more stable minutes, Stevie, with these guys out. So at 4,800, I think he's in play. You talked about Sexton at 7,300. I think he's fine. Walker Kessler's 5K, and he only played 19 minutes against Boston. But, Steven, we can get 25 minutes out of him in this spot. That would be amazing. So I like this spot for this team, for the guys that are going to be suiting up. If I had to rank them right now, I think it's George, Kessler, Sensabaugh, Sexton, Collins. I think that's more. Well, no, give me George, Sensabaugh. Yeah, I think that's my order. I think that's the way I ranked it. The way I ranked it previously. Either way, I like this team. I like this spot. This is a good spot for a game stack and filling some pieces around it. Love this spot, man.
Yeah, you really wish this game was on FanDuel. Like, I'm all for making slates smaller, but you really wish this game was on FanDuel because there's a lot of upside in this game. My question is, Hendricks is practicing in full Wednesday, practice on Thursday. If Taylor Hendricks comes back, do we roll the dice? Like, his point per minute production, point per minute production has been very solid when on the floor. If he comes back and plays 26 to 28 minutes in this game, I think he is another guy that could, like, potentially fly under the radar a little bit because he's been out. I really like this spot for Hendricks if he plays, and they say he's good to go because honestly, they don't like playing THT. So I think if Hendricks is healthy, he's going to play. He's going to start. So watch that one as well because I like that spot. Yeah. Any final thoughts on this one?
Negative. Love this game. Big time game here.
All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we will get out of here. Favorite play under 5K to go 7X. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think we've got some interesting pieces here today, Stevie. But I am going to go with someone in that previous game that I like because I already know he's going to play. Bryce Sensabaugh, 4,800. Haven't seen a lot of upside, but it's Atlanta, man. We know I think he's going to play 30-plus minutes this game. Give me Sensabaugh.
I'm going to go to Bones Highland. If everybody plays for the Clippers, this play is null and void, and it's not good. But if we start getting people out, Bones Highland should play minutes in this one. I like him at 4,300 and think he can go 7X. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today?
I'm going to go against my team, Stevie. Give me Miles Bridges at 8,800. I think it's a little bit too expensive for Phoenix. I think Phoenix takes care of business even on the back-to-back.
I'm going to go against your team, too, and say Kevin Durant at 9,600 because I don't think this game is going to necessarily stay close enough for Durant to pay off 9,600. So Durant's had some big games here recently, but look at who he had big games against. Cleveland, super competitive basketball game. Yep. Boston, super competitive basketball game. Denver, super competitive basketball game. Phoenix should control this game pretty handily. Yeah. All right, favorite 6X play today. Who do you got?
Listen, I'm gonna go back to the Spurs game and give me Jamal Murray. I know he had a down game the last game. He's been playing out of his mind, Steve. Match up with the Spurs. Should have little or no resistance here. Should be able to put the ball in the bucket. I like Jamal Murray at 8,100.
Yeah, I just said it. I mean, I love Keontae George today. I think this is a fantastic spot for Keontae George. Let's get weird. GPP play of the day. Who do you got for us today, Will?
Going to another spot where there's bad defense, Stevie. We haven't seen the upside recently. I'm hoping they can put it together and he can put up a massive performance. Give me Franz Wagner from your Atlanta Magic, 7,200. Come on, Franz. Let's get it done today, buddy. You're facing Toronto. You should be able to feast.
This wasn't planned, but I'm going to go to the Magic as well. They go back to my Let's Get Weird GPP play of the day from the other day and go back to Jonathan Isaac. The minutes are always the thing. He's right at that 20-minute mark right now. They extended him a little bit right before he got hurt again. I like Jonathan Isaac playing 20 minutes here, specifically on DraftKings at 3,700. I think on FanDuel, 4,600 is not crazy because he can go for like 25 plus, but I think he's more of a DK play here at his $3,700 price point. Let's go to the betting portion of the show. I will be honest, there are not a ton of player props out right now because of the back-to-backs and some injuries. Is there anything that you liked here?
Well, in terms of spread, Stevie, look, man, I hate to go against my team tonight, but I'm going to take the Suns. We're getting them at -9. It's -9.5 most places. Get them at -9 against the Hornets. I like that. Stevie, the Hawks are +1 here against the Jazz. Another spot where I still think the Hawks are the better team. Give me the Hawks +1 versus Utah here. I think they win this game. I don't think it should be +1. So I'm going to take the point there.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Player prop wise, I was hoping to like bounce back. I've had a bad week in player prop division, and I can't wait to bounce back on Monday, hopefully. But there wasn't anything. I will say, like Jonathan Isaac's point and rebound prop has been like 11.5 a lot lately, and I've been pounding that. If that comes out at 11.5, I like that. It's not up yet. I do have a bet that I like. I like the Orlando Magic -6.5 in this game against Toronto. Orlando is fully healthy. They've been playing really good basketball. And there's so many injuries for Toronto right now. I think this is a spot we take advantage of it. I know it's on the road, which isn't fantastic, but I think the Magic handle this game without issues against Toronto, and they cover this 6.5 point spread. So like Orlando, -6.5 in this one. They did beat Toronto at home by 19 earlier this year. So just saying. That was with Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam. Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Negative, my brother. Glad to come on with you, talk through this slate. It's been fantastic. And let's go, man. Trucks and Cup coming up for us. Super excited to get to that this weekend as well.
Yeah, truck article up on the website already. Cup article and all that stuff will be up Saturday night, Sunday morning because of how the schedule kind of works out this weekend. But excited for the races this weekend for sure. You were talking about your card collecting, and it's so funny that you mentioned it earlier because I've been buying some Wyatt Langford rookie cards, and we just hit. My kids are still very much into Pokemon cards, and we hit a secret alt rare today, so it was fun. But yeah, Wyatt Langford is my buy right now. But his card prices are like going through the roof already, so he needs to stop hitting home runs. But that's gonna wrap it up.
I'm just showing the people what the Chiefs got in his office here. Listen, and I tell you what, folks, if you're interested in some Zion Williamson rookie, you just reach out to your old Chief in the Discord or on the RG platform, and we'll get that thing shipped out to you at a discounted rate. Won't even have to pay all those fees. Just reach out direct if you want some Zion.
Derek says Chief flexing. Here's my flex. Oh, you can't. The green screen. The green screen messes it up. Yeah.
Is that a Charizard?
It's a rainbow Charizard. Yes.
That's
just because it's by my desk. All my baseball stuff is not in my office right now. Because I opened up a lot of Prism stuff like the last few years, and when you do that, sometimes you don't remember all the like rookie card autos that you like pull, and I had to like go through them, like really go through them the other day. So a lot of that stuff, was that a flex? Derek, that's a flex, buddy. That's a good one. But all right, hope everyone has. We keep rambling about sports cards and stuff, but I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We're back on Monday talking some hoops. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.